Hello, Bulldogs, and welcome to another edition of Open Line on Air, a program which is dedicated to keeping you, the viewers at home, informed about what's going on in the Garfield Heights City Schools. I'm Terry Olszewski, the proud superintendent of the Garfield Heights City Schools. Today, we have with us Mr. Alan Sluka, who serves as our district as treasurer and also the director of business services. Mr. Sluka is an alumni of the Garfield Heights City Schools and has worked for the district for a number of years. Today, Mr. Sluka is going to share a brief background about himself and then elaborate on the upcoming levy that the community will vote on this coming May. So let's begin. Before getting into the levy information, this is a great opportunity for you to share with the viewers at home your background with the district. Can you talk about growing up here in Garfield Heights?
I sure can, and it's good to be back here on GHTV, and I've been at the district now 10 years. It seems like it's just yesterday I started here in the district. And growing up here, it's a dream come true to be able to come back and serve the community where I grew up. And it gave me a great, I think growing up in Garfield Heights gave me a great sense of values, work ethic, and the people here were very genuine back 30 years ago. And what I liked about this community today is you still see the same people that even you grew up with came back home, stayed in the community, and they're just as genuine today as they were 30 years ago.
So what would you say that has changed mostly in the district in the last 30 years?
Well, you look around and I think everything has gotten bigger. We got a brand new high school, which is no longer brand new. It's 10 years old now, but we still think of it as brand new. We were able to complete some buildings and renovate 3 elementaries from back in the day. And I look around and some of where the communities, even though City View, that was a great vision, it just didn't happen. But you see the progress being made, and you see the community still building on itself. And I think that's the biggest change I've seen in 30 years. And granted, the demographics have changed a lot since then, too. But you still go back to the old school, the new school, and it's still a great dynamic and a great community. And it's probably the best place to be in the county, right in the middle of everything.
I agree.
Yeah.
What are the things that stayed the same?
Well, I think what stayed the same is you still have those core values. Garfield Heights has always been about core values and core value people. And the people that you meet still present that persona of core values. And the other thing that stayed the same, and something that, we wanted to change and couldn't, was the same football field that I had back in the day when I graduated 30 years ago, back 76, 40 years ago. My math is right, being an accountant, treasurer, hopefully it's close, but you still got the same football field, stadium, and we still have the same bus garage, so those things haven't changed in the 40 years, so we're hoping that maybe we could do something about that. But other than that, that's about the things that are being the same.
Why don't you give us some of your primary responsibilities being the treasurer of
Well,
Garfield?
as treasurer, I think the biggest primary responsibility is I am the fiscal advisor to the board. I need to keep them up to date on the latest changes in school funding. I need to keep them up to date on our financial situation. And I need to advise them on what direction we're going in and what decisions they need or what financial information they need to make the best decisions financially for the district. Other than that, I got to overview an operation of over $50 million. And with financial reporting requirements and state guidelines, unfunded mandates. There's just a lot of things in school funding today that we need to maintain and stay on top of, including revised state laws, legislation, new budgets every 2 years coming out of the state, and our, I don't want to say financial woes, but I want to say we are fiscally challenged as a school district, and we need to stay on top of that, and that's my primary role.
You have a dual role. Why don't you explain some of the things that you do as business director?
I do have a dual role, and as business director, I oversee all the facilities, operations. I oversee the bus transportation. I oversee the food service operations, along with all building projects, insurance coverage, and any contractual matters that come. And we've had a lot of building projects in the last year under which my overview, and we've renovated 3 elementary schools, and we're trying to do something with our middle school today, but we need to stay on top of that in conjunction with the Ohio School Facilities Commission. Although I would be remiss if I didn't mention that I couldn't do this alone. This job is about, we have a supervisor of fiscal operations that does a fantastic job to help me through on the treasurer side, supervisor of transportation that does a great job in running the transportation, and a supervisor of maintenance who does a fantastic job with our maintenance. So it's not really me. They do all the work. I just have to oversee it. And it's good to have those people in place to be able to say it's a well-run, smooth operation.
Well, we have a big levy coming up. Can you give the residents at home an overview of what that's involved?
We do. We have renewals coming up. We have actually three straight, yeah, it's easy for me to say, 3 straight years of renewals. What we're trying to do is that this now becomes every year the district will be going to every year the community will be going to the ballot to help the district with these renewals. What the board has decided to do, and we think it's a good way to go, is we are combining this year's renewal and next year's renewal into this year. And what it does is we have a 2.5 million renewal coming due. We have a 2.85 million renewal coming due next year. We're combining those into one renewal at $5.385 million. What this is doing is letting us come to the voters and giving us a set direction. This is nothing new. I mean, we've been renewing these levies. Actually, the 2.5 million levy we've been renewing since the early 1980s. The 2.85 million levy we've been renewing since the early 1990s. In fact, you know, in researching that, going back and finding out, the 2.5 million levy was first renewed in 1986 for 12 mills, which is a lot. Ours is a little less. And the 2.85 million levy was renewed in 1991 for a little over 7 mills. So combining those two together today, we're actually asking for a combined renewal millage. While it seems a lot to the voters, it isn't. It's going to be for 17.6 mills, roughly around there, 17.5, 17.6 mills. But what the voter has to, and the community has to understand, it's 2 levies combined together. And I would be more than remiss to not reiterate this point. It is no new taxes. No new taxes.
How about the fact that we're combining those 2 levies? Can you share what's the advantage to the taxpayer?
Well, first of all, the legislators allow us to do that because coming due is that it prevents voter fatigue. I mean, if we're going to be going this year, next year, and the following years. Every time we go to the ballot, and then there's no such thing as a free election anymore. Anytime we go to the ballot and place something on there, we get a charge for all the expenses that are cost to print ballots, man the polls, do the election. Right now, if we combine these 2, we're actually saving on election costs if we can get this passed this year and not have to go back next year, skip a year, and then go for the 3rd year. The other thing it does is that we need to set our sights to be fiscally responsible, and we need to be able to tell the community that, okay, going into the future, we know how much we have. When we do the 5-year forecast, we know that if we have this much and we can pass this now, we can set ourselves up for down the road. We know that it's already in place and we don't have to worry about it. Yeah, is it getting away from what we have done in the past for every 5 years? It really is. One difference, and we want to be totally transparent, we're going on the ballot for a 10-year. Usually it's every 5 years, we're going on the ballot for 10 years. That way we don't have to come back to the voters in 5. And the voters can very much say, well, wait a minute, in 5 years we might not like it. Well, I would say to the voters, in 5 years we're still going to need it. If you put this in place for 10 years, this allows us to plan for 10 years down the road. It allows us to set the financial foundation for the district for 10 years, for the future. I won't be here in 10 years. You probably won't. I'm not going to speak for you. You probably won't be here in 10 years. But in 10 years, at least the people know that you have this funding in place. And like I said before, it's been renewed since 1980, since 1990. We need this funding, and we need it to be stable to lay the foundation going forward. And if we can do that now and combine these 2 and not have to come back and not knowing what's going to go on next year, whether we can get that renewal passed or not, I think it sets us up very well.
Well, you say we need it. What does that funding give us? What does that bring to the district?
What it brings to the district is the foundation of our educational programming. This is basically our instructional services, and it also brings to us our operational side of it. It's building maintenance, it's the transportation, it's the support services, it's the business side. There's all those aspects of running a school district. It's not just teachers and kids, but you need to get them to the school. We need to feed them. We need to heat the buildings. We need to maintain our facilities. It's all part of that foundation.
What can the viewers do to learn more about the levy?
Well, a couple of things. One is all the information that we have will be up on our website, so you can go right there. The second thing they can do is that we're going to be putting out mass mailers telling people exactly what we're trying to do and why we're trying to do it. And the third thing, and I think it's most important, is, and I cannot reiterate this more extensively, is if you have a question about our levy, please contact either you or I or one of the school officials, because they have the latest information about the levy. Now, I know we like to go through and we like to ask our neighbor about it or ask, a friend about it, but they don't have the information that we have, and we want the community and we want the voters to get the right information. So all you have to do is call, email, our addresses are up on the website, and do that. And we'll probably be out in the community at different events also talking about it. So that's pretty much, I think the best way to get the information about our levy. We have nothing to hide. We want to be as transparent and proactive as we can about the renewals. Oh, did I mention no new taxes?
No new taxes. Well, thank you, Al, for giving us an important take on the levy and for sharing a bit about your background. You can always get more information about the levy by visiting us on our website, as well as www.garfieldheightscityschools.com. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of GHTV, Open Line on Air. I'm Superintendent Terry Olszewski, and as always, go Bulldogs!